Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West. Here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community. Remember some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines developing news stories that made it, folks. Let's waste no time. Oh, yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Kill Collie is in top headlines for donations. The Vindicator has a staff report published July 25th explaining how the Youngstown Foundation is giving $5 million to Kill Collie for renovations. Now, what got the story in is because Kill Collie has stayed in top headlines due to the donations and investment funding that they've been receiving. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Mill Creek Park is back in top headlines. David Skolnick has a report published July 29th explaining how a $43 million contract to keep wastewater from flowing into 2 Mill Creek Park lakes has been stalled until August 26th because only 5 of the council's 7 members were at the meeting. That's according to the report. Now, the article made it in because it informs the local community about projects that often go overlooked, which are sewer and water projects. Folks, this story is still developing. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. $2.5 million settlement. Raymond L. Smith has a report published July 31st out of Warren explaining how Trumbull County will receive a piece of the Purdue Sackler drug settlement that will pay out up to $5 million in 2 payments over the next year. Now that is almost word for word in the report. This is all part of a $7.4 billion settlement in a lawsuit between Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family over their role in the opioid crisis, folks. The settlement included attorney generals from almost, I guess, all 50 states. That's why story number 3 made it. Story number 4. State funding headed to the Valley. One report published July 25th explains how 10 projects in Mahoning County have been awarded a combined $5.37 million in grants and loans by the Ohio Public Works Commission. Now, the article does mention when road and sanitation projects will be funded and the amounts. And he goes as far as even putting the amounts. Now, thus getting the story to the top 8. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. Tax reform is still in top headlines in Ohio locally. Now, Dan Pompley has a report published July 31st shining more light on the property tax issue. Now, the article states that even residents of Boardman are calling for a change to the way townships are funded. Now, the article highlights the growing cost of living that is conflicting with people in the battle to pay their bills. So I guess the fact that even property taxes are taking money out of their pockets, that money that they need. Now, the report goes on to explain how at the moment there is no solution or an alternative method. Now, although the article mainly focuses on Boardman Township and how officials are they're helpless to do anything. They can't. They just don't have the power to do anything. And this seems to be the case in not just in Boardman, but other surrounding local communities as well. That means that nobody can seem to control the fact that costs are going up, and when costs are going up, they don't have the power to have a solution, folks. The call for tax reform is what has this story trending, folks. This story is still developing. So story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6. Insight is still in top headlines. The local hospital fight goes on. The Insight and local hospital story is staying in top headlines. Pat Littlewitz has a report published July 29th giving more updates on what is going on in this fight that could trickle into an even bigger brawl. Now, the article highlights discussions between workers and the union and how local 2026 President Tom Connelly stated that the talk is about the potential for a recall of employees and reopening the hospital. Now, this is what the talk is about. Now, the entire report gives the reader a sense of hope in some areas, but no hope in others because it does not state anything about where the money will come from if the union can reopen the hospital. So there's a lot going on in this story, folks. This story is still developing. Right now, it's just all talk. That's why it's number 6 also made it to the top 2 this week. Big. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that I made this week for you to keep you informed, folks. If you don't get up this early, you do want to catch the show. I do upload to the website on Mondays, folks. If you don't get up as early, check out the show on the website on Mondays. And that's the website on the screen. Let's get to these top 2 stories. Story number 7, no layoffs expected in Trumbull County. Raymond L. Smith has a report published July 31st with a headline informing the public that Trumbull commissioners are expecting no county worker layoffs this year. Now, the article goes on to explain how the county's budget will still be very tight even though no layoffs are expected. Now, the report has some staggering budget numbers and shows how each department has little to no room for error when it comes to any error spending. That means any loose cash. Now, the report also states that some departments are still short when it comes to their payroll budgets, folks. This story is still developing. That's story number 7. I was made to the top this week. Big headline. Story number 8 in the top local headline and developing news story that I made this week for you. Keep you informed, folks. If you do want to show some support, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program. Or you stop by the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face. Buy something in the store. Story number 8, Foxconn jobs. Raymond L. Smith has a report published July 31st. Now, the report states that Foxconn is expected to triple the number of employees at its Trumbull County facility. Now, the company plans to add up to 800 new jobs. Now, according to Denny Malloy, the county will have between 1,200 and 1,400 jobs created between Foxconn and the vision for Voltage Valley that they still have when it comes to batteries and electric cars, all other electric things, battery powered things. Folks, let's get this story to the top 8. Story number 8 made it to the top 2. Well, folks, our top 8 local headlines developing news stories that I made this week. I'll bring back the top 8 international headlines developing news stories. So don't you go to the media to be Brian West. I'll bring it back. Folks, we are just a few days away from the very first ever podcast challenge in the city of podcasting.
My life has been a joke this far.
Hey, did you hear about this podcast challenge for $500,000?
I tend to change all that once I win this competition.
This could be the money for our late show.
Are you having doubts about having local celebrities?
So you think you got a chance, bro?
Oh no. God, y'all don't look at this. Look at these views. We just skyrocketed downward. I don't even know how we even got here. Man, we are really behind. We need something else. We need something quick, restrictive. We're gonna have to switch up our strategy in order to stay in this.
Man, listen, I don't care about none of that. I think we do it. I'm gonna do it. That.
And I'm coming in with strong numbers. What you worried about?
I'm going to get Bobo the Kid Cook for an interview. How about that?
Look, if you can get me an interview with the NSA, I can blow this lead wide open. No problem.
Nobody's interviewing Kid Cooks. And from the looks of it, she's got probably over 1 million views on her channel. We'll give her a call.
The little girl, she won't be in the league too much longer. I mean, she's a little girl. She got to talk about.
So, how's he doing? I mean, the other podcasters don't seem like they're even getting close.
Amy literally shot her boyfriend, posted the video, and she jumped all the way up to second place.
Last episode, I only got 500 hits because whoever's picking a fight with me is somehow now threatening my viewers.
We're down so bad. We're plummeting this whole competition right now. The solo investigation round is literally our whole entire hope. We're waiting on a thin line.
I'm just telling you. I'm a few views away from winning this thing, and now you want me to go undercover and investigate.
These numbers are ridiculously low.
I have an idea.
I'm telling you, Dave. I know Dave. Dave is clean. Dave is cool.
Let's rob a store, man.
Oh, no.
Now, was that it? Is that all you had to say?
We
have to break the rules, man. You have to break the rules, man.
What are you talking about?
Alright, bye.
Like, I got way too much right on the line for this whole competition, of course, but I'm not about to sit here and go along with this whole robbery scheme.
Phil, man, you're too conservative. Just get dirty. What do you think happens in politics? Somebody hits, they hit back even harder. Phil, man, you're too conservative, a little bit too soft. I'm calling my cousin Lucy. She lives in Vegas. She's got the heat on everybody. If they want to get dirty, let's get it cracking.
The contest is based off views. They don't say how you get the views.
God, I can't believe how we gonna rob a damn jewelry store now.
That's
God.
my bad, y'all. That's my bad.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week, folks. This week we're talking about just people and their moods and our personalities. I had to go to Georgia, to go visit my mom while she's trying to recover from her chemo, and now she's they're saying her health is getting worse in some situations, but she's fighting. She's putting up a fight, and I got to go into the airport system, and oh man, I got to fly the airplane, and I got to see how they kind of operate. And when you go into these air facilities, man, you see some interesting things, and being at the airport, I was like, wow, I mean, people are kind of walking around. I mean, you talk to everybody, they're just everybody's got this look on their face. They're tough, and they mean business. I mean, you could be like, hey, ma'am, can I get directions? It's down that way. Go straight. And that's it. Everybody looks focused at the airport. Focused. Militant. And parents are keeping their children in order. If you don't get on this plane, now I'm going to whoop your butt. Hey, I'm going to jack me. Little Jim up. And there's a lot happening. Workers in the front by the counter of the flights, they're pushing people around. If you don't get in line, Jim Bug, that's it. You see a lot at the airport. A lot. One other thing you see is you'll hear this voice over the air when you're in the airport. It's like a intercom, and you don't know who's going to pop on it next. And I don't know if they're watching you on camera or what, but you could be hearing this voice on the intercom the whole time while you're walking in. We're gonna ask Billy to go to aisle 3, check on flight for airline number 364, and Mr. West, if you don't start walking straight in the right direction, we're gonna come out and whoop your ass. Hope everybody has a good day at ALT Airport, and thank the mayor for sponsoring this ad. Have a good day, everybody. Brian, walk straight. Walk straight. All right. Have a good day. And it's like everybody is waiting for this one big event at the airport when you got to get on a plane with the pilot. And everybody, you got to go literally through hell just to get to this one big event, to go on this big exciting adventure on the airplane with the pilot. And throughout all this adventure, this whole airport jungle, when you get on a plane, it is exciting. And the pilot is the only calm individual in this whole equation. All through hell, you got to go to baggage change, get half naked, get checked down, patted down, and as soon as you get on the plane, the pilot is the calmest. Well, welcome to flight board 345. I want to thank everybody just for coming on. We're going to experience just a little bit of turbulence here, but other than that, everything's going to be fine. I do apologize for us not having refreshments on the flight, but the passenger crew will be coming around with water with a little bit of ice. I want to thank you all for coming on the flight with me, and we're going to enjoy the ride. I mean, this is the experience. I got to experience it. That's what I was on. When I was on the flight, I said, wow, this is amazing. But I did get to see my mom, and I hope she gets through this. But that was my adventure this whole weekend, seeing the many personalities in this great country that we live in. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Speaking of cancer, a cancer breakthrough or not. Smithsonian Magazine has a headline stating that cancer DNA can be detected in the bloodstream up to 3 years before diagnosis, according to a study. Now, the study by Johns Hopkins University could revolutionize cancer treatment, according to the report, folks. This story made it in because cancer continues to eat through desperate healthcare patients, including my mother. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. COVID is back in top headlines. Time has a report headline stating that COVID-19 is rising again. The report explains how cases are currently rising across the country and a summer surge I guess this was in the main idea of the article, that this is a summer surge that's taking place. Now, the report goes on further to cite some CDC data, but shows that once again we may be caught off guard due to hospital closures that are slowly eating away at local communities and medical cuts that could limit insurance coverage. Medical cuts that's taking place, folks. Let's get into the story to the topic. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. What happened in Manhattan and why it matters. CNN has a report published July 29th giving an update on how 27-year-old Shane Devon Tamura walked into a Manhattan building with a suicide note in his back pocket, alleging that he suffered from CTE. This is a strange story. Now, what got this story in is the fact that soon after, when he went on this daily rampage, this is I guess this was his motive for something. Now, the motive is right now, the entire motive, the whole plot seems to be under investigation. But one report in the Los Angeles Times says that the gunman was a high school football standout and he may have been targeting NFL offices, folks. This is a strange story. That's why story number 3 made it this week. I'm pretty sure I got his name right, but that's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Cuts could hurt the disabled. Time has a report highlighting how Trump's Medicaid cuts could put people with disabilities at risk. The report marks the 35th anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act. Now, the report emphasizes how Medicaid is a lifeline that provides access to essential home and community-based services for those with disabilities. Now, this story made it in because $1 trillion in cuts from Medicaid over the next several years could put these supporting systems in jeopardy, as stated in the report. This story is still developing. That's why story number 4 made this week. Well, folks, our top 4 international headlines developing news stories that made this week. I'll bring back the top 4. So don't you go under the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll bring back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines developing news stories that made this week, folks. It's a lot going on when it comes to people's attitudes and characters that were highlighted this week. And in Ohio and Cincinnati, they said that an African-American group of, I guess it's younger adults, young kids or whatever, jumped on a man and his wife that were Caucasian. Now, if race was a factor, the story is still being investigated, but it shows you that there's still a lot of that animosity in there. But this isn't just happening between blacks and whites. Now, this is happening on the religious scale where people are killing Jewish people and Palestinian people are starving in other countries, folks. This is real. So it makes you wonder, what do whenever I see something like this, it kind of makes me think about how I think as a person. And it really kind of makes me see something maybe that even maybe because you hear people using words and they'll call people the N-word or my N-word or that N-word or that C-word or that, and they'll use these terms. But when you see people dying and you see a grown man and his wife getting beat, it really should show you something inside that needs to go away. And folks, that is racism. Racism is bad. Because my track coach, who was a white man, I had black and white coaches when I was younger. My track coach would always tell me, Brian, you don't want to assume anything because you could make an ASS out of yourself. So the saddest part about when you grow older and wiser is you find out that there are things in life that you don't know. And the person you scar the most could be the same person who has the opportunity to save your life. And now we all may have these prejudices or things inside of us. But sympathetically, when we see another human being starving or losing or getting beat to death, I got beat up when I was a kid by my own people. I saw things like this, my own race. So I even saw kids get jumped and beat up, young innocent girls getting beat up because they were beautiful. I seen these things as a child. But I learned that over time, when you grow up, time has a way of changing things. So I hope we can learn something from these stories, and I hope that we can one day reach the mountaintop, because folks, the paperwork is already signed. We are free to shape our own destiny if we choose. We can leave our jobs, quit, and find another job, folks. That's why this is such a hot topic. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Price hikes and top headlines. Do we have a choice? MoneyWise has a report explaining how Americans could soon see price hikes that are a result of Trump's trade war. The article is a long report highlighting what items to stock up on before Trump's next phase of getting a return on America's world investments go on. Now, the fact that this will impact Americans and their pocketbooks is what got the story in. That's why story number 5 made it. Story number 6, the rich, poor, and middle class problem. NPR has a report informing the public about how Trump's homelessness executive order is cruel, but really puts the rich, poor, and middle class issue back in top headlines. Now, the we, the people, and the rule of law when it comes to the Constitution is what has stories like these trending. Now, this story also highlights the balance of powers, which emphasizes that wealth does not overpower the governing between the rich, poor, and middle class. Folks, the article paints a picture that poor and middle class people are being held hostage to gain political points, but it says that this may be happening by each party, not just one party. And it also paints a picture that wealthy people are dictating this order. Now, that leaves the question of, do we have a choice? Is this why this anger is still in the air, folks? This story is still developing. Why are we angry? That's a big question. But they're saying that this is what's happening. Now, either way, each tax bracket is finding a way to stay afloat. That's why story number 6 also made to the top 2 this week. Big. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week for you to keep you informed, folks. If you do want the show to show some support, well, first let me get to the first one. There's to show some support. And then if you do want to check out the show, if you don't get up this early, you can check out the website on the screen. You can buy something, or you can even watch the programs that we put, all programs that are kindly invested through the dollars spent here locally, and probably with talent from all over the United States, from all over the world sometimes. If you do want to check out these free programs, you could check out the website on the screen, and that's where I upload the show on Monday. So that's what story does. Now let's get to this top story. Story number 7. Doctors are trapped in a political dysfunction. It's an interesting story. HuffPost has an interesting piece written by Dipti S. Barrett. Now, the report begins with a headline reading that I'm a doctor. That's what it says. And it says the things I'm now being trained to do in Trump's America are terrifying. Now, the report it may be political, but it highlights a big talking point. Now, this is word for word according to the headline. Now, the article goes on to state that the 5th and 4th Amendment are being violated. Now, the report is filled with testimonies of what is taking place inside of hospitals when it comes to care. Now, the report drifts into the immigration fight, but succeeds at informing the public about how political dysfunction on both sides is trickling into the medical field and could be a ticking time bomb that has been brewing for some time, thus getting this story to the top 8. That's why story number 7 also made it to the top this week. Big B. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that I made this week for you to keep you informed, folks. If you don't get up this early, you can check out the website on the screen, or if you want to show some support, I do upload the show to the website on Mondays, but if you want to show some support, you go to the website at any time, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program, or you can stop at the store at 5648 Mark Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face. Stop at the store. Story number 8, let's get to it. Calls for genocide or an attack on Hamas. Which angle can you look at this story? Folks, Reuters has a report explaining how 2 rights groups are the first Israeli voices accusing Israel of genocide, in which Israel's prime minister group denies. Now, this story is keeping the pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu to explain further on what his endgame is and what justifies starving Palestinians to eliminate Hamas. What justifies that? Bombing people, innocent civilians, and children at that, just to wipe out Hamas. Is that really the motive, folks? This entire situation puts the pressure on the world to engage and take action because people have been displaced, bombed, and starved. These are facts. And the report ends by stating that Palestinians have been stripped of their humanity and rights. The story is still developing, but highlights how war can be brutal, and you can find out there are honest, dishonest people, and there are people who are conniving to get things done in a different type of way. So story number 8 made to the top this week. Well, folks, our top 8 local and international headlines developing news stories that I made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, journalists, people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the mediator, the man in the middle, navigating your stories just to keep people informed. Folks, if you do want to show some support, it does not take much. All you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program, or you can stop by the store at 5648 Mark Street in Boardman, Ohio, and see my smiling face. Folks, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'll be back next week, Lord willing, looking through over 200 or more stories just to keep you informed. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator this week with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.